before Alexander the Great conquered the world. He was a boy who tamed a horse nobody else could ride. The horse was named Bucephalus. It was enormous, wild, and had thrown every experienced horseman who tried to mount it. Alexander's father was about to send it away as useless. Alexander, around 12 years old, bet his father that he could ride it. He had noticed something the grown men had missed. The horse was afraid of its own shadow. He turned the animal to face the sun so it couldn't see its shadow, calmed it, and rode it. His father Philip, watching, reportedly wept with pride and said, "My son, look for a kingdom equal to yourself. Macedon is too small for you." Philip had no idea how right he was. This is the making of a conqueror. To understand Alexander, you first have to understand the kingdom that produced him, and the father who built the machine that made his conquests possible. Macedon was a kingdom on the northern edge of the Greek world, a rough, mountainous land of farmers, herdsmen, and hard-drinking warrior aristocrats. The sophisticated Greeks of the south, the Athenians, the Spartans, the Corinthians, regarded the Macedonians as semi-barbaric country cousins who happened to speak a form of Greek. They were Greek enough to compete in the Olympics, but backward enough that the southern city-states never took them seriously as a cultural or political force. That contempt would prove to be a catastrophic miscalculation. Alexander's father, Philip II, took the throne of Macedon in 359 BCE under desperate circumstances. The kingdom was surrounded by enemies. Its army had just been shattered in battle, and its previous king was dead. Macedon was on the verge of collapse. Philip transformed it completely. He was one of the great military innovators in history. He reformed the Macedonian army from top to bottom, creating a professional standing force in a world where most armies were seasonal militias of farmers who went home for the harvest. He drilled them relentlessly, year-round, until they could execute complex maneuvers that no other army could match. His signature innovation was the sarissa, a pike roughly 18 feet long, more than twice the length of a traditional Greek spear. Massed formations of infantry carrying these enormous pikes created a hedge of points that no frontal assault could penetrate. The first 5 rows of spears all projected beyond the front line. An enemy trying to attack the Macedonian phalanx faced a wall of iron before they could get anywhere near the men holding the pikes. But the phalanx was only half of Philip's system. The other half was the cavalry, specifically the companion cavalry, an elite force of Macedonian noblemen who were the finest heavy horsemen in the ancient world. Philip used the phalanx to pin the enemy in place and the cavalry to deliver the decisive blow, striking the flank or the gap that the pinned enemy couldn't defend. This hammer-and-anvil tactic, infantry as the anvil, cavalry as the hammer, was the foundation of every battle Alexander would later win. Philip also understood that war was about more than battles. He was a master of diplomacy, bribery, marriage alliances, and strategic patience. He famously said that no fortress was impregnable if you could get a mule loaded with gold inside it. He expanded Macedonian power year by year, absorbing neighboring territories, seizing gold mines that funded his army, and slowly extending his influence over the fractious Greek city-states to the south. In 338 BCE, at the Battle of Chaeronea, Philip defeated the combined armies of Athens and Thebes and established Macedonian dominance over all of Greece. Alexander, 18 years old, commanded the cavalry on the left wing and personally led the charge that broke the Theban sacred band, the elite unit of 150 pairs of warriors that had never been defeated. Philip was now the master of Greece. He announced his next project, an invasion of the Persian Empire, the vast realm to the east that had tried to conquer Greece a century and a half earlier. He would lead a pan-Hellenic crusade of vengeance and conquest. He never got the chance. Alexander's childhood shaped him as profoundly as his father's army did. His mother was Olympias, a princess from the neighboring kingdom of Epirus, a fierce, intense, deeply religious woman who was involved in ecstatic snake-handling mystery cults and who told Alexander from an early age that he was descended from Achilles on her side and Heracles on his father's side. She may also have told him that his true father was not Philip, but Zeus himself. Whether Alexander fully believed this or simply found it useful, the idea that he was more than human, that he was descended from gods and heroes and perhaps was something divine himself, was planted early and deep. His relationship with his parents was intense and complicated. Olympias and Philip despised each other. Alexander was caught between them, closer to his mother but desperate for his father's approval, watching his parents' marriage disintegrate as Philip took other wives and other lovers. When Alexander was 13, Philip hired the greatest mind of the age to tutor his son, Aristotle, the philosopher who had studied under Plato, who would go on to shape Western thought for the next 2,000 years, spent 3 years teaching Alexander philosophy, politics, science, medicine, and literature. Aristotle gave Alexander a love of learning, a curiosity about the natural world, and a particular passion for Homer's Iliad. Alexander reportedly slept with a copy of the Iliad, annotated by Aristotle, under his pillow, alongside a dagger. He modeled himself consciously on Achilles, the greatest warrior of the Trojan War, who chose a short and glorious life over a long and forgotten one. This was not a casual influence. Alexander's entire life can be read as an attempt to live out the heroic ideal he found in Homer, to achieve deathless glory through extraordinary deeds, whatever the cost. In 336 BCE, everything changed in an instant. Philip was attending the wedding of his daughter, Alexander's sister, in the Macedonian capital. As he entered the theater for the celebration, walking deliberately ahead of his bodyguards to show the assembled Greeks that he needed no protection, one of his own bodyguards, a man named Pausanias, stepped forward and stabbed him to death. The assassin's motives are still debated. Personal grievance, political conspiracy, and the involvement of various interested parties, including possibly Olympias, and even Alexander himself, have all been proposed. The truth is lost. What matters is the result. Philip was dead. Alexander, 20 years old, was king of Macedon. He inherited the finest army in the world, a kingdom that dominated Greece, and his father's unfulfilled plan to invade Persia. He also inherited a mountain of enemies who saw the death of Philip as their chance to break free of Macedonian control. The Greek city-states began to stir. The tribes on Macedon's borders tested the new young king. Rivals within Macedon itself eyed the throne. Everyone assumed the 20-year-old would struggle to hold what his father had built. Within 2 years, Alexander would crush every rebellion, secure his kingdom, destroy the city of Thebes as a warning to all of Greece, and cross into Asia to begin the campaign that would make him the most famous conqueror in human history. The boy who tamed Bucephalus was about to try to tame the world. Next time in the Alexander series, the invasion of Persia begins. Alexander crosses into Asia, visits the tomb of his hero Achilles, and wins the first of the battles that would bring the largest empire on earth to its knees. Until then, this has been Drawn from History. Thanks for watching.